Hello boys and girls, welcome to the second episode of Suddenly Silver. I'm Lorenzo and I'm playing as Chevron. This time against Emma Watson, who is a Terran. I'm of course a Protoss and we're going to be playing on Neo Planet. Let's see what's up. If the loading screen will allow that, please go on. Come on, load. I want to show you this game so bad. This is my last game so far. I'm perilously close to meeting my deadlines with the videos. It's now Saturday here. This one is slated to go out on Monday. So I hope to get some gaming and some casting in on Sunday. So I can keep you guys up to date with many videos. Of course, every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Welcome to my new subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. At 50 subscribers, I will make an island tour of Malta, of which you will get a sneak peek today, because I had a funny adventure the other day. And at 100 videos I will be shooting an underwater video of me spearfishing. And yesterday I used my harpoon not to spear a fish but to open a can of food. Not quite so spectacular, but it was interesting at least. I didn't have a can opener, but I did have a harpoon, so I managed to do that just fine. Up against the Terran, as you may recall, I'm going to be doing the 2-Stalker Mothership Core Harass and Scouting build. Of course, this probe, after the pylon, will do its usual scouting run. I will then proceed with a traditional 14 gateway, followed by gas pylons and cybernetics cores when they are appropriate and possible. Building the 2 Stalkers and the Mothership Core. Here's this enemy SCV that was heading my way. And I'm going to soldier on into his direction, see what this Terran guy, or indeed girl, as her name is Emma Watson, is up to. Of course, we don't believe she's a girl because it's the internet and there are no girls on the internet, as everyone knows. I am, of course, also a man, which you might have known. So, first sign of trouble here. I'm in her base and she doesn't have a barracks. Now, the possibility is that she's just really bad at the game, but that's not something you can assume, because then you're going to lose. It's an assumption I am going to make, because the supply depot is in her base, and I do send a probe, I think. Yes, there he goes, to scout around the the perimeter of my base, to see if there is anything fishy going on here in my natural, or here in the third, or at least this base, whatever its name may be. In the meantime, gateway going down, and the pylon and chrono boosting the probe, getting ready to get some assimilators. Yes, the other assimilator should be going down right now. It's a little bit early, it's at 16 supply. I think these are meant to go at 18 with this build, but as you can see I don't have it perfectly down yet. This is also my own fault, because I play these games usually when I'm home from work and I don't feel like reading up on the build or refreshing my knowledge. Just jump into the game, which of course isn't great for learning and improving. But alas, otherwise there would be no games at all. Second assimilator going down and immediately filled with probes. One too many, but I think I'm going to take swift care of that. Come on, take care of it. Almost swiftly. So there's 3 now, and my probe here is being attacked. Still no barracks, so this is becoming alarming. Second supply depot, not so many probes here, so there are some units on the field, but where, oh where would they be? At this point I am thinking it's going to be a proxy barracks, whatever shenanigans, but I haven't found them yet, so what doesn't exist doesn't scare. That's of course a piece of terrible advice and or logic, but I'm going to run with it in this game. Cybernetics core finishes, and for the first time, for some reason, always when the cybernetics core finishes I get a lag spike, even in replays. I have no idea why that is. For the first time in ever so long, I managed to time it so that the probe finishes when the cybernetics core finishes, and I have enough resources for the core, the stalker and the warp gate tech at the same time. So that came together neatly and I was pretty proud of that. Pylon here going down to prevent myself from going supply blocked. Obviously I'm at 24 of 26 now. Mothership core pops out as together with the first stalker, which will receive a chrono boost for the second one, which is nicely on time. These two, stay here. These two can now move out and have the second stalker rally to the mothership core. The idea here is that this 2-Stalker and Mothership Core will arrive before any bunkers are down. And oh, look at that, there's some Marines here. There's a base next to my base, and the probe that scouted it here just must have missed that out. I see him, I hope he doesn't see that I've seen him, and I'm going to wait for the second Stalker before poking in there and seeing what exactly is up. At home here I'm making a forge, because I don't think I can catch up in gateway units, and I'm going to want a few cannons. I see there's quite a sizable marine count. This is not something I can take care of with my 2 stalkers. I attempt some micro, but the mothership core strays too far forward and unfortunately is taken down. At this point I thought, shit, well, that's the mothership core. It's not too expensive. It's 100 minerals and 100 gas. Is it? Am I lying here? Yeah, it's 100. So it's not that big a deal, but it's not very nice. And soon we'll see how wrong that assessment is. Going to put down a pylon here in preparation of some forge built cannons. These two stalkers here are attempting some micro, third stalker coming in, attempting some micro to dispatch these marines, but it's too much and these stalkers are going down. Here I'm building the first cannon, and fortunately there are quite a few pylons and quite a few targets for these marines. He opts to focus down the forge instead of keeping the cannons down, which gives the cannons that have been put down a slight amount of time to be warped in. Second forge going down here because of course I'm going to want these upgrades, or more in the short term of course these cannons. Second pylon going down. He's doing horrible amounts of damage with his marines, but when these cannons finish I hope I can repel it. Cannon coming in here, first cannon warping in, starts immediately, opens fire on the marine. This cannon is almost down and unfortunately I do not manage to cancel it and get my money back. Cybernetics core now being fired upon. Oh, the pylon becomes under attack. I think this is one of the things that saved me here in the short term. He's focusing down so many things at once. Second pylon here coming up for these buildings, chronoing out a stalker. It's not going to be there in time. I've got two cannons here under which fire upon the reinforcements, but here there's still a handful of marines just wreaking havoc on this unprotected cybernetics core. Now these two unpowered gateways. Retreating further back into the nexus. Here more cannons going down. The second forge here is securely behind the two cannons here. Throwing down the gateway, and as you can see I pulled some workers off gas, which I should have pulled all of them because I've got 700 gas, and with the cybernetics core down, not a way to spend it. So losing another gateway, and if I may touch again upon that loss of the mothership core, had I not lost it, I could have of course photon overcharged the nexus, probably shutting this down altogether. So one thing I've learned here is to definitely keep your mothership core alive, because then it's not that big of a deal for the time warps, not even that big of a deal for units. Sure, you get vision on the high ground and it can tickle your opponents, there's a tiny amount of damage, but damn, that photon overcharge would have been so very welcome in this spot. Now I've got about 5 cannons down, putting a 6th here, and this is enough to keep these marines scared away. Gateway is going down, and just before the cybernetics core got taken down, fortunately warp gate research did finish, so I can transform these into warp gates. So you can see here the mineral line is pretty well saturated. It's at 20 of 24, but of course I'm in no position to expand. There's marines here lounging up the ramp. So I've got my 2 gateways down now, and a core and the 3rd gateway is going down here along with an extra safety cannon. This is pretty hard to break for these marines, but of course he's got his base. He's got he could macro virtually unimpeded, so he could have anything at this point. I'm not very hopeful, obviously, but I'm not dead, so I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep playing and see if I can drag something out of the ruins of this all but successful proxy marine attack. So what is going to happen now? Another photon cannon. I might have overdone it a little bit on the photon cannons in retrospect, but then again I was pretty scared with all these marines, and obviously I could not be building lots of gateway units because I didn't have the gateways. Get the new mothership core out, and now at this point I am heading towards a 4 warp gate count. A familiar number to all Protoss players, I'm sure. It's about the maximum amount of production structures you can support from one base. I'm pretty well confined to one base, so I'm going with 4 warp gates, and I think in a bit I'm going to get the +1 upgrade. Of course I'm going to need pylons again, and because these units, although captive, do need their pylons. Getting the Twilight Council, heading in the direction of Archon and or Templar. Well, of course I'm going to get Templar if I want to get Archons, but I'm not sure what I wanted, but I do want to go in that direction. Warp Gate coming in here, and we can see what's up. Getting up the units, have a sentry here, some stalkers, a zealot. At this point I'm not even sure if they can leave this area, if maybe it's too much of a maze, but it works out just fine. And now is the time to clean out this base, get these wounded marines out of here. I'm quite surprised he hasn't got any reinforcements or even medevac or something. We're at 12 minutes, so he could have done that, I think. See some marauders on the low ground and taken out here these marines. Putting a force field on the ramp to prevent them from escaping and prevent these marauders here from joining into the fight. And I'm going to kill off these marines, denying him vision on the high ground and letting my cannon have free reign. warping in more stalkers, and upon seeing this I haven't even completely lost hope. He had a tiny army, so what I'm thinking is that this Emma Watson only does ever does marine proxies, and when it fails, well, it hasn't failed completely. She did a lot of damage to me, but her army now is, for the amount of time and economy she cost me, is pathetic. She could have been almost maxed out on whatever really and just smoked me off the map, but that's not happening. I'm being given the room to re-establish myself and try and make something of this game. Did I get the upgrade already? No, I didn't get I thought I got the upgrade way sooner. Anyway, getting a small gateway army together here. Here goes the upgrade. So my memory isn't completely rotten after all. Getting a Templar archives here. Because as I said, I want to go for Templar and maybe Archon. As you can see, I'm getting pretty close to being mined out. There's about 400 left in each mineral patch. So I'm starting to think about expanding. And in a little bit, I'm going to move out and try and secure that expansion. In the meantime, the game is a little bit boring. It's a little bit SimCity-like. I'm getting an army and getting pylons and preparing for the big push. So, well, the big push, the let's have a look outside my base push, which is going on here. And oh shit, there's a Widow Mine. In the ecstasy of having survived against this early harass and having rebuilt, I completely forgot about the threat Widow Mines pose, which here make my tech for Templar quite a wrong choice in retrospect, because of course either a Stargate or a Robo will provide detection, and the Templar Archives is not one of these things. So here it goes down the Robo Bay. So now you can notice I have 4 gateways, a Robo, 2 tech structures, and a Forge running off 1 base, which is of course far too much. And as you can see, my money is really low. This is really low not because I'm a pro macro player, but because I'm completely broke. I do continue to make probes somewhat, not on full speed, but I'm at 29 of 24th in preparation of securing my second base. And while I wait to get the observer, I'm going to cut away from the game and show you something I found yesterday, which is a little bushfire next to the road. So here we go, that's the video. Basically, so this is Malta, this is a back road. I'm going to leave the Starcraft game running in the background because it's just not very interesting at this point. And when I drove upon it, I saw some cars coming out of a massive smoke screen, and as you can see, there's lots of fire everywhere. So enjoy the fire, and I'll cut back to the Starcraft game when something interesting happens there. So back to the game. Here's an observer, and he's going to reveal this Widow Mine here for me. In the meantime, while you were enjoying the Maltese fire show, a few extra units have been warped in. Nothing too much. I was at ×2 for a few seconds, but basically that was just a fun intermezzo. Using the Zealots to take out the Widow Mine, not the best choice. I probably could have taken them out. Again, here we see a tiny army. There's some Marauders, some Marines. Of course, my army is tiny as well, and I do make the mistake of engaging this. I should never have engaged this here. In a proper setting, these force fields are useless. In a proper setting, I could probably have done significant amounts of damage here, but these tanks are having free reign, and my Mothership Core tries to get away, and all we've done basically is wounded a few Marauders, which is of course a catastrophic loss. And down goes the Mothership Core, and this really was super bad. I feel terrible about this. Here I'm going to research Storm, because why the hell not? My finances are doing horribly. I've got 3 mineral patches, so that's in total it's about 200 minerals left here, and I've got 400 in the bank, so I've got 600 minerals to make something happen against this with no army. I'm sure you can predict how it goes. I'm going to fast forward a little bit and show you something funny that happened in that last final battle. Oh, I'm making an immortal because I can, because I had the money for it. I do have the gas still coming in, so I'm going to go for High Templar. And the storm research is almost finished, so I'm going to try a few storms, and I have a bunch of probes here that can assist in the final defense of this terrible base. So this cannon here is watching over this pathetically tiny army of my opponents. It feels so bad. He's doing so bad. He has the whole map to himself. He's got me contained. He did a huge amount of damage in the beginning. Here I'm doing a Psy Storm. It kills a few units, and I didn't see the Ravens coming up, and I wanted to do it completely unimpeded. But alas, the Ravens did see, but the Templar got a few kills off. So here comes the all-in. I'm going to slow it down. The all-in, the all-out defense. The probes come, and I feed back the ravens would just disappear off the field. Storm on the tank probably could have been better on the bio, but what does it matter at this point? Going to melt these into an Archon. This one is just going to die. Immortal dies and the Archon dies. And surprisingly, my opponent just doesn't realize what's going on. I have no minerals, I've got 2 mining gases, I've got a bunch of cannons left over from my frantic defense of the marine push early in the game, and he's just going to lounge there with his tanks. Taking out my observer and, well, to make sure I can't see, I suppose, but I don't have any units. So I'm telling him my mind out, smiley face and GG, where I leave the game. So, quite a terrible game, don't feel great about it. Lots of things to improve though. Oh man, my opponent is floating 5,000 resources. Let's see what she had. She had expanded to the 2 gold expansions, but with almost no saturation. 2 bases. Oh, this is terrible. This is really embarrassing to lose against this. She has the starports, but she's basically just made 2 ravens out of 2 starports. I'm not going to talk about this game. I am going to upload it, and you can laugh at me, and hopefully I'll be more awake and better in next game. Hope you enjoyed anyway, and of course make sure to subscribe and you'll get notifications when I make new videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. In the meantime, have a great Monday and have a great week. This was Lorenzo. Hope to see you guys next time. Goodbye.